All right, so it's been almost a year since I've posted on this channel, and I felt like I should come on here and share with you what has happened, why I stopped posting on this channel, and what's going to be happening in the future. So just for full context, this is probably one of the last videos that I'm going to create on the platform. This is not clickbait. I think people probably saw this coming for a pretty long time, considering that I really haven't posted very much, especially in the past couple of years. There's a lot to talk about today. You know, if you normally come here for information and to learn something, this video might not be the one for you. It's going to be a bit more on the personal side. I'm really making this video for myself, and I think it'll just be interesting to look back on in 20 years. But I thought it would be helpful to have some type of closure instead of me just disappearing. Had some people reach out, ask, did you die? Are you still alive? I'm still here. I'm doing well. But I just wanted to create this here. So where should we start? I think to understand why I stopped creating videos and my thoughts on this, we need to go back to why I started on this platform in the first place. And this was in 2016 is when I started the channel, which is about 8 years ago. So look, I grew up on YouTube. I mean, YouTube was founded in 2005. I was 6 or 7 years old at the time, and so I spent most of my life watching YouTube videos. So you probably did as well. That's probably why you're watching this video right now. You spent a lot of time on the platform, right? And so spending so much time on the platform, at some point in 2016, when I was a freshman in college at Penn State, I decided that I'm finally going to start making videos, and it's not something that I generally wanted to do. Like, I've never been drawn to creating content per se. It was more so that there was nobody making personal finance content on YouTube in 2016. And I know it's kind of difficult to think about now because there's so many videos on personal finance and investing or productivity and all these different topics, but it really didn't exist in 2016. I was just talking to Graham Stephan about this when he started his channel around the same time in 2016. And I think I was in a really lucky position to start that channel at the time that I did, and I kind of grew with the niche as the niche grew on this platform. And I remember people saying in 2016 it was too late to start on YouTube, and I almost didn't create the channel because I thought it was too late. YouTube was too mature of a platform, and looking back on that now, it's kind of funny thinking about it. It was actually pretty early 2016 to create a channel, but you know, I've lived and breathed YouTube for so long, for almost 8 years, and I've learned a lot over that time period, and I think there's a couple of things that I could share about that. But the reason why I started was because I was looking for that content, I couldn't find it, and I thought someone should create it. You know, there was a bit of a gap in the market there, and so I started to just create videos and just started pumping them out one after another. And one of my favorite things to do in life is to build something, to grow something. And so growing a YouTube channel was a really easy, tangible, quantifiable thing to do, was to grow a channel. And so I had so much fun doing that. You know, along the way, connected with so many people, and then there were also some byproducts of that as well, like making money. I never sold any online courses or anything like that on this channel, but you know, it certainly made a decent amount of money from this channel, just sort of as a byproduct of sharing ideas and creating content for this platform. And I think that was also a really great bonus to everything. All right, so when I was 14 or 15 years old, I set this goal that I wanted to retire by age 25, or at least have financial freedom by age 25 so that I could do whatever I want for the rest of my life. And I'm not sure why I hit this phase, this phase of my life at an really early age. Like most teenagers, I think, were just having fun and doing cool things with their friends. I was pretty weird, and I don't regret that. I mean, that's just how I was. So, but yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time hanging out with friends. I didn't have many friends. I was just obsessive over this. And so I guess it has worked out in a sense, but I think I have hit that goal of financial freedom by 25. And so kind of looking over the past 10 years of how I got to that point, and reflecting on that quite a bit. So when I was younger, what I was trying to do was find a way to have massive value creation in a very compressed period of time. And so, like, let's say that, like, for example, most people are going to work 40 years in their life, say from age 22 to 62, they're going to work about 40 years. And I wanted to find a way to compress that into a 5 or 10 year span of work up front, like basically front load it at an early age, so then you could then cruise for the rest of your life. And hopefully this is making sense as I say it aloud here. But and so in order to do that, I realized that there's like a couple of different forms of leverage that you could use to get to massive value creation in a very compressed period of time. And so one of the first ones that I learned was human capital, right? And so this was one of the first businesses that I started with my brother Mike. I was 14, he was 16. We started a firewood business. He got his driver's license, and we'd go around cutting up trees, selling firewood. And the first like realization that I could potentially retire at a much earlier age was when I started to hire some of our friends in the firewood business and basically make a spread on their work. And, I'd pay them $8 an hour, and they would make us an extra $5 or $6 an hour profit for basically doing nothing from just hiring them. And so making a spread on labor, I guess you could say, was like one of the first realizations that I had of maybe I can find a way to do this in a much shorter period of time. There's other forms of leverage as well, like money, for example. This is why they say that the rich stay rich, right? Or the rich get richer. And it's very true. Like if you have $10 million in the bank and you're getting 5% interest on that bank account, that's $500,000 a year in free money just for having money. So this is why rich people generally stay rich. And so if you can get to a point of a large sum of money at an early age, you could probably cruise on that indefinitely. This is why people talk about like the rule of 72, and they talk about the 4% rule. You can withdraw 4% per year, compound interest. You've probably heard a lot of that already, so I won't go too into the weeds on that point. But money is an excellent form of leverage, and so if you can get to it at an earlier point of life, that can be extremely valuable. And I think one of the big epiphanies that I had when I was going into college when I was about 18, the reason why I started this channel, or one of them, was realizing that social media was like the ultimate form of leverage. And maybe I spent too much time watching Gary Vaynerchuk in my teenage years because he was always just screaming about content. But it's true. I mean, you can spend time talking to one person about an idea, or using YouTube, you can speak to millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people with the same effort that it takes to have one conversation with someone. And I think having that realization is really the reason why I forced myself to just start creating videos. And, that sounds kind of selfish of like one of the reasons why I started, but it's true. It's because I realized that there's quite a bit of leverage there from social media. I think I also have really valued having total freedom in my life as well. And, tomorrow, if I wanted to, I could go fly to Japan and live there for a month. And I don't really have many obligations. And I've kind of crafted my life in that way. And it's good and bad. I mean, I've always liked to do that, have total freedom where I don't have to clock into work tomorrow. It's really, even with the people that work for us, it's very much automated. That's just how I have set everything up in my life so far. And that's something that I value a lot. I think at some point I'm going to have to give up quite a bit of that freedom just as I go through my life and start a family and other things that I will willingly give up a lot of that freedom because it's worth it to do that. But for example, I spent a couple years living in my truck. That was such a fun experience. I'd recommend anyone and everyone who is capable of doing that, even if it's just for a couple of weeks in the summer, just go out on some government land, live in your car, do some camping. It's just one of the best experiences, having that freedom of, waking up tomorrow and just deciding where you're going to go. And that's something that I've always really tried to prioritize and try to find a way to get to. But yeah, I would definitely recommend, it's kind of a sidebar, living in your car for some period of time, just because I think it's really fun, and that really truly is like total freedom. All right, so I think we should just get into what happened and why I decided to officially stop creating content on this channel, and then what's going to be happening going forward in the future and some of the goals and things that I'm looking forward to. And so there's a handful of reasons why I stopped posting content on this channel. And the biggest one is because I felt like I had said everything that I needed to say. I've made all the videos that I wanted to make and the thoughts that I wanted to share. I feel like 95% of those I've already done. And so it got to the point where I basically reached this crossroads of, do I want to make repetitive content? And do I want to create the same type of content and regurgitate the same stuff every year? Or should I not do that? Sure, I guess I could find other types of content to create, but I really didn't want to. And so I look at someone like Dave Ramsey, for example, which I have a lot of respect for. But he goes into the office every day for the past 40 years, and he says the same thing every day. And to me, that is not fulfilling personally. And like I said, no hate towards Dave. He has some really great advice. But that's not something that, like, I looked in the mirror and said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to say the same thing every day. And I really don't like repeating myself because it felt like it wouldn't be growth or wouldn't be as fulfilling to do that. And so that was one of the big reasons why I ended the channel. And, people would say, well, why don't you just make other types of content? And I didn't want to. I wanted to create personal finance content or minimalism or productivity content and the things that I really genuinely wanted to share with you as an audience. And so I think there's this pressure of basically, you could call it like the creator hamster wheel, where there's this pressure to constantly create content and keep people updated and keep it going, because if you stop posting, there's this fear that you'll kind of fall off or become obsolete and people will forget about you. And so you have to keep stoking the fire continuously. And I did that for about 7 years. I kept posting. I really didn't take much time off. Maybe I took a few weeks off here and there, but it was this constant pressure of always needing to post, even if I didn't want to. And I think a lot of creators and influencers can relate to this in some way. And I really didn't like that hamster wheel feeling. Now, I'm also a very private person, and although I've shared a lot of things over the past 7 or so years on this channel, I've also kept a lot of things private, and I've always tried to do that because I just don't like airing out all of my life online. And so as we went through from 2016 to 2024, each year I wanted to share less and less about my life. And I think that's just because I'm a very private person. The only reason why I've really had social media in the past few years especially was just because I felt like some obligation to update people on what was happening in my life. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. And I think I've realized that I shouldn't be guilted into feeling like I have to create content. I don't even know if that's right to say that, but that's just how I feel. And so I think the only other reason why I struggled to end this channel, or why it took so long to stop creating content, was because there was also this factor, especially this came from other influencers, where you don't want to waste the potential of the channel that you've built. And maybe we're getting a little bit into the weeds here, but I'm just speaking my mind here. And so there's this idea of, you've built up this YouTube channel where I could make a video every week and get a sponsor. They could pay a pretty decent amount of money, and I could probably squeeze a few more $1 million out of this channel pretty easily by just making videos every week and automating it, have a scriptwriter and doing all that. And so that was like something that was difficult to let that go and say, you know what, I don't need the money from this either. Like, that's not the reason why I created this channel. I didn't do it to make money. And so I don't need to do that going forward either. I don't care if I'm leaving money on the table or potential on the table in any way, because it's just not really something that I feel like doing anymore. So yeah, that's basically what happened. That's why I don't post anymore. It's just because I genuinely feel like I've said everything that I wanted to say and shared everything that I wanted to share. All right, so going forward, 3 goals that I have for the next 5 years. I just feel like it'd be fun to share these and look back on this video when I turn 30 and see where we're at. So goal number 1, it'd be really great to start a family. Have to work on that, not very far along there. Still single, so need to figure that out. And I think actually from like 18 to 24, I really didn't focus too much on dating. I was just focused on other areas of life. I think if I had to prioritize from 18 to 24, I would say my priorities were my family, my businesses, and then priority 3 was like dating or relationships. That was from 18 to 24. I think it's probably going to shift quite a bit as I prioritize starting a family at some point, hopefully in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years. I'm not going to rush it because I don't think that's something that you can really plan that easily. Definitely don't want to rush that. But yeah, that's something that I would really love to get to by age 30, at least to kind of work towards it incrementally in some fashion. Goal number 2 would be really great to get to $100 million a year from our companies. I don't really share a lot of this, but my brother and I have some companies, a holding company with some other companies, and you know, it's doing okay, but I would love to really scale that up and grow it more. And like I said earlier, I really just love growing things, and so what I did with my YouTube channel, I would love to continue to do with our company, and that's just something that I want to be able to wake up every day and have something to work towards. And that's what I've been doing the past year and a half, 2 years with my brother, that we've really been trying to scale this. And it's been working quite well. But yeah, $100 million by $100 million per year by age 30 is the goal. And I honestly think that it's achievable. But yeah, we'll see how this video ages, of course. That's kind of why I'm making this. And then goal number 3 would be to just buy a very large farm somewhere in Pennsylvania, at least 50 acres, but hopefully more like 500 acres. This is kind of difficult to come by to get like a really large farm. There's not that many that come up on the market, the ones that I want. And so that's just a goal that I would love to get to by age 30 as well. Those are my 3 goals for the next 5 years. All right, so I think that is going to wrap up the video. I sincerely appreciate everyone who has watched this channel over the years, whether it was like an apartment a tour in 2019 or an investing video in 2017 or something more recent on my channel about, you know, phone addiction, for example. All those videos were something that I really hope were helpful to you, that you found some value in. That's always been my goal. Like I said, I didn't really try to monetize this channel. I didn't really try to, you know, like, I didn't squeeze as much juice out of this channel as I probably could have, as some people told me to. And I've enjoyed this process. It's been such an incredible journey for myself, and I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting me. So I just want to thank you one last time before I sign off here. I probably won't be making any more content on this channel. There's a very rare 5% chance that I will, and if I do make any future videos, it's not going to be for the algorithm. It's going to be just kind of personal videos, maybe a life update every few years, but that's probably about it. So I think for the most part, this channel is kind of closing the chapter here. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you, and I guess that's it.